Hello and welcome to Eco Girl in a Modern World. My name is Shelley and my channel is dedicated to talking about ways to be more environmentally friendly in a modern context. Today we're going to keep the video very brief, and I wanted to talk today about personal style. The way that you clothe your body is an expression to the entire world of who you are and who you are as an individual and what you stand
for. And so, of course, it is very intricate. It's very integral to your personality and the way that you express yourself. And today's subject actually kind of ties back to my very first video, kind of the thing that got my channel started. The first video I ever did was on fast fashion, and the reason I did this video is because I was seeing the rise of TikTok, which is a social media platform like any social media platform, and I was watching the RushTok, what was happening is on TikTok, the algorithm was pushing the videos for who were rushing. Rushing at college, doing the things they do when you're in your 20s, which includes fashion. But I noticed that all of the outfits were these really fast fashion, cheaply made brands. And what upset me was the environmental impact of it. As you can see with Shein and Forever 21, Zara, the fashion is not made to order. It is made to order, but it's drop shipped, and it is produced using polyester and acrylic and really materials that are bad for the environment. And what upset me was how much of it was shown in these videos, and just how cheaply made it was, and how not good of a quality it was. But this kind of grindstone of fast fashion that was impacting this generation and their ability to discover their own personal style, right? And that first video is really integral to the personal style that we know today. I feel like the newer generations are trying to find their personal style in an environment that was much different than the generations that came before them. I've mentioned before on this video, I'm Generation X, and boomers, Generation X, even millennials, they grew up in a time when there were still fashion magazines or more concrete ways of having an influence of what is stylish and have that define your personal style. I feel like these new generations are at a disadvantage because they're such a bright, beautiful generation. What's happening is they're being sold to with this consumerism of really cheap, fashion that is just mass produced. And I just feel like it's not fair to the newer generation that they don't have the same opportunity to learn about personal style the way that the generations before them did. I also felt like it was the reason I created that video is because I also think it's not fair that they have to bear on their shoulders the weight of the environmental impact that has really come about over several generations. It's like fashion is kind of snowballed over the decades, right? And caused this global problem. So when we talk about personal style, we really don't want it to be gloom and doom, right? It shouldn't be, right? Buying clothes and trying on clothes is kind of the rite of passage. You discovering what looks good on you is the right that all young people should have. And there shouldn't be guilt about that. But then again, there shouldn't be the sales practices that you see today either. So I just wanted to talk very briefly about personal style and how it's evolved and how we can kind of make it a little bit more green. Now, again, We talked about personal style being a rite of passage, and in the generations before, it's funny. It really did kind of start after the Second World War. After the Second World War, back in the 40s, you still had a lot of clothes made from natural materials like cotton and linen and silk and wool, right? But then after the World War, we kind of went into the future. By the 60s, we kind of discovered some new materials. We discovered polyester, we discovered rayon, we really thought that they were futuristic fabrics, right? Because we didn't have to rely on a plant to grow in order to produce this fabric. So at the time, it was really wishful thinking. We didn't think that we were creating any, apocalyptic futures with it. But as you've probably seen if you watch this channel, when you go in, we're hitting a place with our style where things are mass produced so quickly, and these fabrics that we thought were so futuristic are really detrimental to the planet. Polyester is made from gas, it's made from petroleum, so that's not good for your skin. It's using resources we don't have much of, and it does take about 700 years to biodegrade. Another one is acrylic. It's the real fuzzy fabrics, and those not only are made from the same kind of synthetic, not so good for you fibers, but both acrylic and polyester are the #1 reasons that we have microplastics in our water. When you wash synthetic fabrics like rayon, polyester, it breaks off little tiny microscopic pieces that get into our waterways, and we cannot get them back out. So for this reason, when you think about your personal style, what you want to do to be green is you really want to buy natural fabrics. That's the #1 thing you can do. So you can look for cotton, silk, linen, hemp, wool, all these nice fabrics, and also try to make it 100%. If you can do 100% of any fabric, any material, that just makes it easier to recycle later. And if it's a natural fiber, it will biodegrade. The other thing is, if you do have to buy something like particularly secondhand, if you do buy polyester or acrylic, I don't like acrylic at all. Polyester, I give a little bit of leeway because if it's already in existence, like if you buy it from a thrift store, you're keeping it out of a landfill and you're making sure that it doesn't get, have a bad end life. But we do, another thing you want to look for is 100% of that material, because 100% of anything can be recycled a little bit easier if something's a blend. If something is half cotton and half rayon, separating the two fibers is very difficult. So as we make strides in trying to be more recyclable with our clothing, that is another way that you can be green, is by looking for 100% of that material, whether that's 100% cotton, 100% polyester. Later you can try to recycle it a little easier if it's all one material and not 4 different materials. But again, I feel for I feel for the younger generations, because it's not fair to them that they have to, first off, be in an economy that is so difficult. You have to work really hard to make what little money that you do, and you spend a lot of money. And when you spend a lot of money, it's not on, you don't have offerings of high quality materials that, clothes that you can afford. So personal style really goes a long way with that, because if you know what your personal style is, you can make better decisions when you do purchase something. Because I've noticed, I feel like the #1 thing that happens with personal style, especially with, the more modern generation, is that with the advent of social media, you have so much choice. I think that's half the reason that we have so many fashion, choices, is because you can see everything, ever since the internet became accessible, and social media, you can see fashion trends from every generation. You're exposed to a lot of media, and everybody has different interests. Therefore, there's a million different types of personal styles, right? So it is no longer, the gatekeepers are no longer the fashion magazines or what's on television. That's how it was in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. The moment we got into the 2000s, it was the digital revolution. You can listen to music at any decade. You can watch TV shows from any decade and be influenced and like the style. And therefore we have, a million different options for how you can dress. Now, I am going to post a few videos down below that really talk about that. The rise of the aesthetics, that's one other thing that kind of plays into a personal style, is that I think one of the other things that we've kind of gotten into, and I talk a lot about on this channel, is when you buy things, and we are all consumers, when you buy things, it is a dopamine hit. It makes you happy. And sometimes when you're working a hard job and you don't have the ability to live the lifestyle that you want, sometimes it can be a bit escapist to live in an aesthetic that reflects your personal style. Meaning like, okay, I'm feeling artistic. I want to be an artist, right? Let me go for the art girl aesthetic. Or, when the pandemic came out, it's like, okay, I just want to live with nature out in the woods somewhere. Let me go with the cottagecore aesthetic. And I think sometimes, again, all this access to information about the world from the confines of our own little bedroom, where I think that's become a little bit detrimental in the defining of personal style, because it's not, I think I think with all the choices that you have, both with consumerism and, influence, TV shows influence that you have for how to dress, I think we treat aesthetics as if they are a starter kit. Like, okay, this week I want to be, I want to feel like I'm, affluent. Let me do the Stealth Wealth starter kit and buy all the clothes to look like I'm wealthy. And then when you're tired of that, living that life with your clothes, you'll just, throw the clothes away or donate them. And it's like, oh, okay, well, let me do ballet core this next week. And that's what's really contributing to waste. And it's not really giving you a personal style. So that's where defining what you like and really discovering who you are plays into your personal style. And there's a great video, there's a couple videos I'm going to post below that talk about that. There's a little bit of an identity crisis, and believe me, I feel you. I think every person, male, female, however you resonate, has come into that play where it's like they don't know who they are, and they dabble, and it is okay to dabble. It's okay to say, oh, okay, wouldn't it be fun if I did this, or wouldn't it even be fun that I do that? But we have so many clothes produced now, and the way that you can just go online and find it in 12 different colors made of really cheap material that uses gas that we have very little of is not the proper way that we want to define our style, right? Dabbling does not mean that you just chuck your entire wardrobe the next time that you want to take on a new persona. And we're going to talk about that in a minute when we talk about your fantasy self, your fantasy life, right? But basically, your fashion style defines you, and it is okay to dabble, and because you have to try clothes to see if you like them. It's just we want to be discerning with it, and we don't want it to be like this over consume and then purge and then try something else and then purge, just because we need escapism, just because we want to feel like there's a different life. Basically, your personal style is not a Halloween costume that you can just, throw out and then get a new one every other week. That's not how you want to treat your personal style, right? It's a development of you. And so I'm going to post a few really great videos that talk about that. It is a very interesting subject. It is definitely something that is on the shoulders of these newer generations. But there's been some great solutions that have come around the bend as well.
Actually, Showbiz Lee, who's another creator here, she's an environmentalist. I thought she had a good point where she said, okay, when you pulled open your phone, did you think that you needed a burgundy pair of cargo pants? And just because you're scrolling and something tries to sell you a burgundy pair of cargo pants, and then all of a sudden you have to have it, it's like, okay, when I opened my phone, I didn't even know or comprehend that I wanted or needed that. So you kind of have to bear in mind that's being hit with advertisements and things telling you that you need this, right? And I feel like we've come a long way, especially here on YouTube. There's a lot of really great videos, and I'm going to try to post a few of them that really talk about this, where people are really getting woke to this, the influence of that consumerism, the influence of that, and how it's really it's interrupting the natural evolution of your personal style. And so the way that you can fix it, the way that you can do this in a natural way is, by watching my channel, the way that you can do it in a natural way is to, I say go with the 5 rules of when you're shopping. First off, monitor impulse. Again, if you opened up your phone and didn't think that you needed a pair of burgundy cargo pants, don't buy a pair of burgundy cargo pants. What is it? The channel Christina Mikas, she had a really great saying that talked about that too. She goes, if it's not a hell yes, then it's a no. Meaning that if that's not the most perfect item in the world that you've absolutely been looking for, if you think, oh, well, I like that purse, but I don't like gold hardware, it's not for you. If it's not a heck yes, it's a no. So just pass on it. Don't get so sucked in by the impulse, because that is dopamine, and that's what a lot of all these sales is trying to get you to do. So try to control impulse. Second thing is, know what you have. Don't stuff your closet with a bunch of trendy pieces. Really know what you have. Last thing is go with natural fibers. Cotton, linen, hemp, silk, wool. It breathes better, it biodegrades, and it's going to last you a lot longer than the synthetic stuff, and it's not going to pull on oil or anything else, and that's better for the planet. The last thing is 30 wears rule. When you buy something, buy it. If it's going to be something new, buy it with the expectation of wearing it 30 times. And then recycle, reuse, put it back into the circle. You don't just go for a haul of all this new stuff and expect you to just throw it into the thrift store. Really be select and careful with what you're buying. Now, another movement that I saw that's really great for personal style is they talk about your 3 words. What is it? Alyssa Beltempo, she really talks about this, and I'll try to find the video. It talks about it. And there's several movements. It's not just her concept, but she knows the name of the lady who came up with this. But your 3 words are, when you're discovering your personal style, when you think about your personality, what are the 3 words that define your personality, and apply that to your wardrobe? And I'll use myself as an example. From all my life, the 3 words that I feel like describe me are academic, eclectic, and vintage, meaning that I like stuff that is from the past. I don't like anything that's overly modern. And the academic is like dark academia. I like to dress like school. I like vests and plaid. And eclectic, I like bold colors and bold patterns as well. So those are my 3 words. I like to piggyback off the 3 words. So that's another concept, is knowing your 3 words and thinking about that and applying it to your wardrobe. When you're shopping, if what you're looking for, what's being sold to you, doesn't kind of fit your 3 words, you probably don't need it. And that's another rule that I have also, is when you're avoiding impulse, it's also good to sleep on it. If you're really feeling like you want something, I give it 24 to 48 hours or longer. And I think Christina Mikas even says give it like a week or so. If I really feel like if by the same time the next day, like 24 hours later, I'm not even thinking about it, like it doesn't even pop back in my head, that was not something that I needed money on, if I can't even remember that I liked it or wanted it, right? But if it's 3 days later or a week later or 3 weeks later and it's still popping into your head and you're thinking, wow, I really, really liked that, that might be something worth investing in. And then again, look at the quality of it and see. So, look for quality things, look for things that if you're going to add it, that you're really going to wear it, use it up, wear it out.
and it does your 3 words apply to it. In addition to your 3 words, I like to encourage you to have 2 decades. So your 3 words describe your style. Allow yourself to have 2 decades that you really like. And again, if you have a Pinterest board, or if you pull pictures, if you have a drive on your phone, if you have one of those mobile apps that you keep pictures of your favorite celebrities, what is it about their style that really reflects? Like, for instance, Taylor Swift, she's very classic. She dresses like with the red lip and the very classic, she dresses kind of like 50s-esque. So in addition to my 3 words, my 2 decades that I like are the 1940s and the 1980s. And I know those 2 decades seem completely different, but those are my 2 decades. When I am dressing academic, I dress exactly like the 40s. When I'm dressing eclectic, I love 80s. I love big 80s earrings. I love bold 80s patterns. I love some shoulder pads because that really balances out my body shape. And so those are my 2 decades. The last thing that I'm going to add to personal style, and again, I'm just kind of mushing this all together, is I think you're allowed to have one aesthetic. And I know we're kind of hard on aesthetics because, again, aesthetics, like I mentioned, are escapism, right? You want to be cottagecore, you want to be this. It's almost like you're pretending to live the lifestyle because you want that lifestyle. And I've mentioned before, and I'll post a few videos that talk about that, fantasy self, you can get a little lost in that. Sometimes you'll buy pieces of clothing that you would never wear in real life because you're catering to your fantasy self. There's something about that fantasy person that you want to be, and you think by buying that dress that you're going to be able to do that thing by dressing that way. And I think that you should allow yourself a little bit of that. I don't believe in going overboard with it, but I believe that you should, so I think you should have 3 words, 2 decades, and 1 fantasy self that you allow yourself to indulge in. And my fantasy self is the surfer girl. Southern California surfer girl, particularly Gidget, which I don't know why. I like Gidget. I'm fascinated by that biography. It's a real girl who wrote the Gidget stories. It was her father who was an author. But I just kind of like that Southern California, putting on some rollerblades, going, rollerblading on the beach, spending a whole summer doing nothing but surfing. That would be my dream life. If I had a disposable income tomorrow, I would want to spend a whole summer in Southern California, just learning how to surf and, just wearing kind of that, and I have a lot of that. I have surf shirts, and you've probably seen my beach videos, I like indulging in that, and being by the water is very therapeutic for me. So again, I know we've kind of gone all around the world with this, but when you're defining your personal style, I don't think that it should be restrictive. I just think that it needs to be very mindful. We don't want to be buying these big hauls and then just because this isn't a Halloween costume, this is kind of your life. You should be allowed to explore your style, but the market is so oversaturated is what it is. Companies are able to produce clothes so quickly, and their supply chain is not good. Their labor is really exploited, and for all the reasons that we talk about on this channel, that's not good for the planet. And really, it's a way of exploiting you as the consumer, because all this generation is doing is trying to define their style, and that is what everyone has done, in every decade. And it shouldn't be restrictive, and it shouldn't be so expensive to buy quality things. And that's what breaks my heart the most, is that this young generation should not be spending so much money on or spending so little money on really crappy clothes that isn't going to last them a long time, and is just stripping the planet of its natural resources. We should not be doing that. But of course, you can thrift. You can buy secondhand. You can wear it up, wear it out. As try different things. I go to the thrift store. I'm very mindful about what I want to buy. And again, if you go ahead and watch some of these videos, look at the psychology of it. Think about, okay, why do I want to bring this piece in? Is it one of my 3 words? Is it one of my 2 decades? Does it look good on my body? That's another thing. Know your body shape. Know the colors that look good on you. And just kind of get information, and we are good at this. We are so bombarded with sales that it has made us discerning, and that's a good thing. Be discerning, but be discerning about the right things. Is this something that I really want to try? Is this part of my style? Will it fit my body in a way that's flattering? And again, fashion is not an evil thing. I know it is really difficult. I think it is hard for the fashion houses because there are so many cheap material things, so many dupes out there, that it's become very difficult to be an artist in fashion anymore. It used to be about an expression, and that is what fashion is. It's just art that you can wear. It's art in motion, right? And I'll post a video by Bliss Foster that really described it really well. When you have an artist, like the fashion houses, when they have a vision of something different, it's almost like a dream. And yes, it's really out there. The clothes look different and weird and unique, but that is art. That's art that you wear, and it's really just meant to make us think outside the box. It's meant to give us inspiration of new and different things that you can maybe add to your existing wardrobe. But it's not meant for us to be chasing every single trend or just doing this like massive sweep of everything we own in order to bring in something new. It's not about that. It's about your personal style evolving. And if those new trends add to it, then they do. If it's something that makes you think and exposes you to something new and exciting and different, that's what it's meant to be about. It is definitely not meant to be about overproduction or cheap materials or, exploiting workers or exploiting you as the consumer. So I just hope that you get this chance to, so once you click off this video, if you want to go to your closet and think, okay, what's the common denominator amongst all my clothes? What are my 3 words? What are my 2 decades? What's my one fantasy self? The trends that are out there, are they contributing to that style? Is it something that you can parallel? Maybe your style's completely opposite from what's cool right now, and that's okay. That almost reinforces your style, right? And definitely look at it and think about, how am I being green? Have I worn my clothes a lot? Are they natural fibers? Am I really, when I'm done with my clothes, how often do I donate them? Or how do I keep it back into the circle? And that is how you stay green and stay true to your style when it comes to fashion in a modern day, in a modern age. Well, I thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this was helpful. I hope this wasn't too out there or all over the place. But if you like what you see here, I would be very honored if you would like, comment, and subscribe. And if not, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.